Hello. This is something new that I'm doing because I've been doing this thing called 75 Zen, which is basically my version of 75 Hard, but to help me become more Zen. Like 75 Hard is about becoming fit and, I don't know, jacked. And I guess healthy, but it's definitely not like a healthy thing. So I used that format and turns it into a way to focus and prioritize getting calmer in my life. And part of that practice has been morning pages every single day. And look, I'm over morning pages. I feel like there's only so much personal introspection that one can do before it starts to feel like it's numb, right? Like, when you are just like hitting the same spot on your body and it's like, it actually ends up becoming sort of annoying and then kind of numb. Like you just don't really, it just stops hitting the same, right? That's what I feel like morning pages is like. Like I'm all for it, but it just doesn't hit in the same way, especially when you've been doing it every single day. I think I made it to like 50 days, like 48 days. Missed a couple, obviously, but was pretty consistent for like almost 2 months. And then I heard my friend Chelsea Rife talking about this idea that she saw from Poster Journal about this sort of concept of jumping on and doing like a 5 to 15 minute video, so ideally 10 minutes, just, what's the word? Rambling and talking. And when she was sharing about it, she actually shared about it on Threads. I went and looked at poster journals and then she started doing it and I was like very inspired. But even before I saw her doing it, I was like, oh my God, this kind of feels like morning pages, but for yappers. Because here's the other thing too. I've had a podcast for, God, I want to say, I think I started it at the end of 2019. And I used to do sort of like these like cosmic rambles. If you've been with me for a while, you'll know that I am an astrologer, but for a really long time, like that was my business. And I used to just like riff and just ramble. And I used to call them these cosmic rambles. Anyway, I don't do them anymore because the podcast has evolved. It's much more of a medium that I use for collaboration. I use for networking, to be quite frank. I use it to teach sometimes, but more recently it's sort of been this platform and this place for me to, I guess, synthesize these larger concepts that I'm always thinking about when it comes to sustainable success and how do we become more successful and by using these non-traditional success systems. And I'm loving that. I'm loving that thing that I have such a special interest in, non-traditional success systems, sustainable success, spiritual success, being successful as a spiritual person, having a business that has as its beginning purpose as this expression of our soul rather than just this money-making thing. Like obviously it needs to make money, but if it's not fulfilling our soul, then it's just as bad as if it wasn't making money. Like I'm so obsessed with that. And not just that, even with business, but like creative ideas or living our lives in general, right? Because success is so much more than just what we do for work and how much money we make. It's also the state of our relationships, our marriage, our friendships, our family. It's the state of our relationship with ourselves, the hobbies that we have. You know, there's so much, right, that goes into it. And so the podcast has really become this place for me to do that, but I miss rambling. I miss yapping for the sake of yapping, and yapping on things that are just sort of fleeting thoughts. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I should make a podcast episode about that. And 99% of the time, I think it was just like a fleeting thought and only needed to be verbally digested for me, because that's how I process things. Like I'm a verbal processor. It only really needed to be done in like a 10-minute conversation with a friend. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't have a lot of friends. And sometimes my husband just doesn't want to hear about these sort of like crazy wild ideas that I have. God bless him. We love him so much. Love you, babe. But like he's watching this. He's definitely not watching this. I actually told him about this idea and he just like fully didn't get it. He was like, babe, sounds like you're really into this idea. I don't get it. It's not something I would watch. I don't understand. But go forth and conquer. Anyway, when I'm even talking to him, like he is a scientist. His brain works really differently. He always wants to like Google it, research it. I'm like, no. Like, let's just vibe on this. Let's just riff on this and put questions out into the ethos and not have those answers, not have the questions answered. Let's just chat. And he's like, but I don't get it if we're not figuring it out. And sometimes I just need to, quite frankly, hear the sound of my own voice. Quite frankly, verbally process is what I really mean. A thing that I'm thinking about. And it's not a podcast episode. And I never can quite get there during a morning pages thing, because morning pages also feels like I'm emotionally processing things or like just reflecting on more personal stuff. And I never get to these like kooky concepts that I hear about and want to share my opinion on. So that's what this is. It's a place for me to yap on the daily. I don't think I mentioned that. It's going to be a daily thing. Yeah, I'm going to try and do this. Not try. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to do this for 30 days or 28 days. I'm going to do it for the whole of Leo season. Happy Leo season, everybody. And there's so many other reasons why I want to do this. I've wanted to get on YouTube. I've been on YouTube before. I used to do vlogs. I actually archived everything on my channel apart from vlogs that are like 2 years old and kind of embarrassing, but also I like watch them and I'm like, I love her. She's cute. And yeah, I just want to yap. I want to yap. I want to ramble. I'm a yapper. Oh my God, literally the funniest thing today, because I've known that I wanted to do this after being inspired by, again, Poster Journal and Chelsea Rife. But I will say that daily yapping idea, that was mine. Like I actually said to Chelsea, I was like, it sounds like morning pages, but for yappers. Anyway, last night I was like, do I really want to do this? Like I was having a moment, like I've been thinking about this for probably like 2 weeks. And I was having a moment where I was like, do I actually want to do this? Is this really going to be a good idea? Like, do I actually have the capacity for this? Da 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 da. And then I started to spiral a little bit and be like, well, what's the point? And like what Dan had said, my husband Dan had said, kind of was like getting in my head a bit. And I was like, this is why there's like, he's just not the right brain or the target audience for who would maybe enjoy these videos. And I think that's the thing too. Like it's purely just like entertainment. I might teach you something. I might have a prolific thought. I might just have dumb thoughts. But I just want to be more of myself on the internet. And this is something that Poster Journal said about his daily videos. And also just being online at all, of like, what if just being yourself was enough? And I have this delusional thought in my brain that if I had gotten on YouTube 10 years ago when I actually really wanted to and just done it, that I would be Emma Chamberlain. Like, that would be my life. And honestly, I said that to a client the other day and she was like, I kind of agree. So I just want to get on here and go. I just want to do this thing. And I think it's going to be really therapeutic for me. And I think for you, it could be entertaining at the very least. And maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll be inspired. I'd love that. I'd love that if you could be inspired by me just showing up. That's like the reason I wanted to get online in the first place. But I've also realized about inspiration, and we can talk about this in another video, and I'll probably write it down in my notes of like things that I want to maybe bring forth in these videos, that like inspiration or wanting to inspire people is a goal or an intention that is completely out of your hands. Like, you can't control whether somebody is inspired by you. And so if that is something that you want, you're still allowed to want that, but like, you just have to show up and just like be yourself. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, and the reason I grabbed my phone is because, like I said, I was like, oh, do I really want to do this? I was just getting like cold feet, right? Because I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Leo season's starting. And I saved this. It was something that Flex Mummy mentioned, or she like shared. How do I go to my shared, my saved here. It was top 10 jobs that insert zodiac sign want. It was from like an astrology account, meme account. And the second job that Geminis want is professional yapper. And I was like, thank you, universe. Let us yap. We're going to yap tomorrow. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think it'll be interesting just to see what happens internally, externally. And I'm just excited to have this space and have carved out this space for myself. So I don't think I'm going to come on here every day and like come in with a topic, but like I said, I've got some topics that, like, if I'm struggling to come up with anything, I've just like have a little notes app, note, you know what I'm saying? A thing in my notes app, a note in my notes app. And I've already written down a couple of things. So yeah, but really I just want to like jump in here once a day and say and talk about what's happening in my brain, what I'm thinking about, what I'm doing, little like behind the scenes, but like I don't want to, it's not about being behind the scenes. This is just a way for me to just be real on the internet, because I think it's important. Transparency is important, especially for people who own businesses and work for themselves and are entrepreneurs and are spiritual and are creative. I think it's important that we kind of show the way that we move through the world, because that is so anti-patriarchal and a way that so many people, women especially, but people in general, want to just be authentically themselves and just be creative and do the thing that they want to do, but they don't see anybody else even doing it, let alone doing it in a way that gives them ideas about how they might do it, right? That's really important, I think. So, professional yapper, reporting for duty, and I'll see you tomorrow. Rock on.